Are you going to be glad to leave? You're getting ready to leave the show for a while.
I'm getting ready, yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to be glad to, I mean, you've been doing it 8 times a week, same lines, same songs, over and over again. Now, come on.
It's never the same over and over again, though. I mean, see, that was one of the happy discoveries I made about doing this kind of work, is that it really is an infinite amount of room for changing it, however subtly that you might try to manipulate it, you know, night after night after night. But that's, I mean, that's one of the things about music, you know, is that it just has this infinite capacity to develop and grow and change. So, and you play with it, you know, you can play with the acting, you can play with the singing to degrees. I have this theory that the most discipline gives you the most freedom.
Do you think you'll be a better pop singer and a better pop rock artist as a result of this experience with Gilbert and Sullivan and the discipline of doing something every night in roughly the same framework?
I don't know how it could help but do that, because, you know, it changes you as a person. Having to do it night after night after night, you learn things about yourself. For one thing, you learn your limits. It's like going an outward bound or something like that. That's an extreme experience. If you're sick, you have to do it. You don't have any choice. We're
going to show now a little piece of Pirates of Penzance, a song that you taped earlier, in which you play the part of Mabel, and you're mourning the fact that you have to wait for your lover for 50 years, it turns out.
You're going to play it?
Yep.
Oh.
Right now. Thanks, Linda. We'll be back in just a few moments with Linda Ronstadt, of course. And there are more than a few members of the NBC staff who have gathered here today. I thought all these women had come down actually to watch me work, and I pointed out to them I'm here Monday through Friday, and it turns out that Rex, the fact that he was in the building might have had something to do with it.
I watch him work every night.
Yeah.
And I watch her work every night.
You watch him.
It's mutual.
Let me ask you a question that must be on the minds of a lot of people. Why would you take the chance of going on Broadway into something like Pirates of Penzance when you had so much security as a pop star, as a rock star, and could make a lot more money and move around and not have to be tied to that theater 8 times a year?
Well, Linda and I were having lunch with our stockbroker, and Linda said, let's take a chance on this. I said, sounds like a good idea. I'm lying. Right. Why did I decide to do it? Well, I'll tell you the truth. I had another movie lined up to do. I thought I was going to do that, but I was living in California, and I was like the American dream, I thought, at the time. You know, a little money in the bank, a nice little place and all that. But I couldn't sleep at night. I'd wake up in the middle of the night living this dream, and I just needed some lights and some applause and some thrills and some action.
Yeah, but
I think we need work. I think people
I needed
need
work.
Sure, but you guys can get that from a rock concert and then retire to Malibu and put your feet up and go back and do it when you want to.
But you work on an album for 2 months. You go on tour for 2 months, and then you sit at Malibu for.
And it's so segmented, you know. I mean, even though this is a real brutal schedule in a way, you know, you don't have time to have another life. There's something very comforting about the routine, you know, about the rhythm of it, that you know what you're going to do every night. You're going to put on a costume and take off a costume a lot of times.
And you hear the whistle blow. I mean, it's like Miller time. Shouldn't have said that.
No, that's all right.
Free time.
You probably get a free case.
Yeah. And then, too, the Yours Theater. You know, when the curtain comes down every night, at least it's just great to know that you've worked for an honest dollar.
Do you want to do a lot more of this?
Yes, well, sure. I'd like to do every other year, spend a year, you know, at least half a year on Broadway or some sort of stage.
And in films?
Sure. I'm going to do some film work next year, starting next fall, I guess.
Are you going to do a film version of this?
We're now negotiating it, it would seem.
Do you, both of you sing Gilbert and Sullivan every night, which is not exactly the stock fare of America's radio stations. Do you go home then and work on your other stuff as well?
Well, yes.
He does.
I've been working. I'm getting an album out. I've got 8 days to finish my album, so I'm on sort of a crash course. So I've been going in the studio like midnight to 4, getting up and doing the show.
And what about you, Linda? Do you go home at night and sing?
I come and put my hands over my ears. I hope I don't hear any notes.
Really? You don't work on it at all?
I have a hard time thinking about more than one thing at a time. You know, I just do. And I have a lot of ideas for my next album, but I just can't think about it until this is done, you know. I think about this all the time. And it just takes you over, you know.
Yeah. You, the two of you, were kind enough to tape a little number for us here, which we're about to show now. And in this number, Linda pleads with Rex to stay with her, but for reasons that still escape me, even though I've seen the show, he says the duty will call him away. supporting stars, as we all know, and now Broadway stars. And also with us today is Carla Devito, who on June 2nd will take over the role of Mabel. She'll take over from Linda Ronstadt, and she's with us as well. Lots of impressive credits. Do you worry, however, that as Carla Devito, they'll say, oh, yeah, that's the girl that replaced Linda Ronstadt. It will always be the second line.
Well, I tell you, it's kind of an honor to be replacing Linda anyway. In the first place, that's the reason I've been her understudy, and that's the reason I took that. Prior to that, I had been doing a lot of rock and roll myself, touring with Meatloaf, and I have my own record coming out. And
Cool World.
Is this a cool world or what? That's the title. And
that's great.
Hey, I gotta tell you,
that's the first time
it is, right? Yeah.
Is it, Tom? That's what I've been wanting to know. But my motto this year has been there's no future in specialization. And I think that Rex and Linda have proven that. It's like you have to go out there and do everything. Do it all.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite remarkable. It seems to me that we got three very gifted rock and pop performers here who've taken over Gilbert and Sullivan. I mean, you've reached back into something that is classically British and light opera and so on, and you made the transfer so easily. Does it surprise you at all that it has worked as well as it has?
Classic forms, you know?
Yeah.
Both classic forms.
Yeah.
And Tom, I went to a high school where they did Gilbert and Sullivan for about 13 years in a row straight, so I think it's been taken over on many levels.
But did you listen to Gilbert and Sullivan when you were a kid?
Yes, because, as I said, this music director, Mr. Olson, wherever you are out there in Illinois, he kept doing it over and over. And the thing that was amazing is that the comedy still works today, even in, you know, small levels of high school versions.
It does. There's a couple of references to family nobility, and you know, that you can tell they were written in for that, for 19th century kind of thing, but most all of it still is real appropriate.
Still funny.
It's a good script.
We don't care about family so much.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's been the
Family
direction,
honor.
I think, the doily cart sort of stiff direction that made it uncomfortable for so many people. And with Will, the way Will has just loosened it up, we just had fun with the script.
It's kind of an uncomfortable century, though, I think. They were pretty stiff, you know.
When you're
comfortable.
when
When
you're
Victoria
out
running
living
your
now,
life.
it'd be a little hard to have your place in Malibu back then, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, Linda lives
They
very
live by the sea
Victorian.
there.
Linda's a little Victorian.
She is.
We want to hear from Carla as well. Mr. Olson, you're going to be real happy. I mean, she's now left Meatloaf, no longer on the European tour, and she's finally gotten around to what you told her she ought to be doing all that time anyway, right?